Again, Merry Christmas to all of you, to members of Holy Name Parish, guests from around the Archdiocese, visitors who have come to be with family and friends, and anyone who just came to enjoy the beautiful Chicago weather this time of year. Blessings to all of you and your families. We're very glad that you're here. Saint Pope John Paul II once said that when it comes to the plan of God, there are no coincidences. If that's the case, then maybe we should ask, what was it about these shepherds that made them good candidates to be part of God's plan, to be the first to hear the message of Christ's birth? What was really going on in their lives that allowed them to be receptive to this news? The evangelist suggests a couple of things. First, we hear that living in the fields at night is normal for them. They accept without fear that darkness is part of our existence, not just the darkness that comes from the setting of the sun, but the darkness that belongs to our human life of incompleteness, of uncertainty, imperfection, the unfinished business, and the still developing parts of our lives. These shepherds are comfortable with the fact that they don't know everything, and they are not afraid of such vulnerability. In fact, it is that very vulnerability that allows them to be open to the message that God can and often does work in the darkness, that God is present in the incomplete, in a child born in a stable, wrapped in rags, and placed in a feed box. All of you tonight have come here, braving the cold darkness of night, which suggests that, like the shepherds, God is gracing you to be here. He's gracing you not to be afraid of the darkness of life, the incompleteness in your families, the poverty in our city, the unfinished business of world politics and economics, and yes, the incompleteness of each one of our sinfulness, our failures, our disappointments. Tonight, the shepherds invite us to be attentive to the stirring of God's grace within us, a grace that allows us to appreciate in a fresh way how God has already been working in the dark moments of our lives, the incompleteness of each of our lives, in ways that we never could have imagined. This is a grace that we need, especially as there are voices within us and outside of us telling us that the challenges in our families, the challenges of our neighborhoods, and the challenges of this city are too great. Voices that want to convince us that just because we can't do everything, we can't do anything. We need this grace, a grace that is needed in our time when voices tell us to be afraid of the darkness, of the incompleteness in life, by manipulating us to turn on one another, especially those in the human family whose lives seem to be incomplete, whose lives are different and imperfect, who are still developing. Whether that be the sick, the poor, the addict, the immigrant, the child in the womb, and the condemned criminal. All of their lives seem incomplete where there is darkness of uncertainty. God's grace given to us who have braved the dark, cold night to be here should make us suspicious of these voices that tell us to be afraid of the darkness of human existence, voices that appeal to our fears by offering false promises of security, whether that be based on excluding others because of their religion or heritage, or a call for a renewed arms race. By being here tonight, just as it was for the shepherds, God is gracing us not to be afraid of the darkness, nor to let anyone make us afraid of it, but rather to see in the incomplete, in the darkness, that is precisely the place where God does his best work, as he did to those shepherds on the hillside. The second thing we learn from Luke about these shepherds is that their sole preoccupation is tending the flock, keeping the sheep together. They understand the blessing of unity, of solidarity, of belonging. Yes, the sheep make demands on them, for they are shepherds who so often have to go the extra length to find green pastures and fresh waters. They have to be patient with those sheep who stray and wander away. Some move slower than others, but keeping them together is a priority. It was this sense of solidarity that made these shepherds receptive to understand that the poor child born that day was their son too. He belonged to their family, part of the human family, prompting them to go off immediately in the middle of the night to see him and support him. Pope Francis has helped us recapture the blessing, the great blessing of unity and solidarity among the human family, but especially in our own church. He challenges us not to squander the gift of unity and solidarity by easily dismissing those who walk their lives of faith at a different pace, who need special nourishment to refresh them, who stray. Like the shepherds, we come to the stable tonight, prompted by a grace that values the unity of our own families above anything else that can divide us. It's a unity that we treasure because it makes us generous in our forgiveness and charity to those who stray, to those who are a bit slower, who need special nourishment and care. Because deep down, we know that it is a unity that will save us. When it comes to God's plans, there are no coincidences. Just as God did for the shepherds, he has graced us to be the first this night to hear the message of Christ's birth. And so it's up to each of us to let that grace sink in, to take hold of our lives, to give us a new boldness to live in the incompleteness, the darkness of life without fear, but also to prompt us to seek out this night the Christ child, because he has come to save us.